everyone, it's the Tides Changing here, and welcome to part 5 of Let's Build a Mediterranean House. In today's part, we will continue working on the courtyard area, and the first thing that I did is that I changed that rock pattern there on the arch and most of the other parts that had rock on as well, just because I had a hard time matching the flooring to the wall that was there. So I just wanted to change it a little bit, and then I kept the part in the very front where it's half brick, half rock, the same lighter color. And here I wanted to change the floor that I had in the courtyard to something other than that more plain brick pattern. So now I'm putting in a busier brick pattern, but not too busy, but just something a little more interesting, as you can see here. And I really like how it looks. I think it adds a little bit more interest to the courtyard area. And here you can see the courtyard with this different brick pattern in it. The next thing that I did was I flattened the land to bring it out a little bit more, and I didn't like the border that I had to the garden. I felt like it was too high and too busy. I wanted something more subtle. So as you can see here, I'm replacing it with this much lower brown border, which is just, you can't really see it as much. I think it looks a lot better. It makes things look not quite as busy. So I think that was a good change for it. Now I'm just going around and changing the rest of the garden areas to have the same border. And I feel like not a whole lot got done in the episodes this week because they were a bit shorter than last week's, and all that really got done was the courtyard. But hopefully next week's episodes will be a little bit longer, and I will be starting the rest of the landscaping in those, so more will hopefully get done. But I did spend a good bit of time on this courtyard just because I really wanted to make sure it looked right and was a nice centerpiece to the yard. Also, in case any of you who are interested in seeing it didn't see it yet, I did upload the tutorial on U and L-shaped stairs a little bit earlier. So if that was something you were looking forward to, you can check that out. And tomorrow I'll be uploading one on the vaulted ceiling that I did in this house, so showing how to do that. And then Saturday I will be uploading a tutorial on how to do curved roofs. So hopefully you guys like that. I did upload 2 pretty basic ones the past couple days, but I just want to get the easier ones out first before going on to the more advanced tutorials. Getting back to what I'm doing here though, I did finish up that bit of garden that you can see there. And now I'm just bringing the floor tiles out a little bit more. I did have to move that plant out of the way to be able to get that last floor tile there. And here you can see what it looks like with the garden, and the floor tiles brought out a little bit farther. So here you can get a nice overview of the courtyard so far, and I really like how it's coming along. I think it's definitely some of my best landscaping. And now I'm going to move on to making a more grand entrance into this courtyard area, just because I feel like it has to have something special going into it, not just, a path. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to find a higher fence. So I use this one from Late Night that you'll see right there. And I really like how that looks. I think it kind of fits in well. It's just a nice, I guess, iron looking fence. So I'm just putting that going, from the house up to the tile there. And I had to move some plants out of the way to do so. And what I want to do here is put an arch over the path. So you'll have a 2-wide path going through in between arches. I just thought that that would look really nice and just make a really grand entrance in this place. So you have near wall height fences going up to an arch. And now I'm just putting a level on top of that one to make it lower down into a 1/4 height level, which I'm typing in the cheat to do so now. So I'm just putting in the 3 staircases like you do to get it down to 1/4 height level. I'm really hoping that I can keep the cost of this house under $300,000. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but I really hope I can because I want the Sims in my World Adventures Let's Play to actually be able to afford this. So let's hope that they can someday, but I think it'll be fine. It's not too big of a house. It's definitely smaller than a lot of the houses that I made, and it probably looks bigger than it is because of the, vaulted ceiling and the little 2-floor area, but really it's not that big on the inside, and plus the garage is pretty big and takes up a good bit of that space. But anyway, here I'm just continuing on the arch, and now I'm raising up the ground underneath it to be able to get it to look like an arch. So you can see that arch here. I did initially experiment with putting a roof over the arch, But the problem with this is that, as you can see, the roof does cover up part of the arch because it's a little bit steep at this point. Like, the arch is a bit sharper than I would like it to be. And here I had to turn off the constrained floor elevation false, or actually type in constrained floor elevation true to be able to lower the ground without messing with the arch. And then I tried the gable roof instead, but I still didn't really like how it looked. And another thing that I did was I wanted to see about putting a fence behind the arch and maybe putting a gate in, but then I didn't end up doing that just because it looked a little bit too closed off. And once again, I'm back to experimenting with the roof, but I just couldn't really get the roof to look like right. And then, I felt like the arch was a bit too sharp, like I said before, so I want to just make it a little bit more gradual, which is what I just did there by lowering the ground. So now I'm straightening that out. The next thing that I did after that was that I finally put small paint on the arch, so I just used that same rock pattern that I used in the entrance and elsewhere on this house. And I think that looks really nice on it. And now I'm just changing the color of that floor I don't know exactly what to call it, but hopefully you saw what I changed the color of. And the next thing that I did was I got rid of the roof because, like I said, I didn't really like how the roof looked. So now what I'm doing is I'm actually going to make the top of it arched as well, just so the whole thing is an arch, not just the underside. So now I'm just kind of setting up the scaffolding for it because I have to do it that way. I can't do it by editing the ground underneath of it because then it'll mess up the bottom side as well. So I have to do it separately and drag it over to the top layer. So right now I just had two walls and I'm lowering it a bit just so that the scaffolding one is a little bit taller than the arch, so that I can set the highest point of the arch and drag that over, because you can't have the scaffolding be lower because then you just drag the wall down with it and you can't really raise it up other than raising the ground underneath it. So you have to have it higher to begin with. After doing that, I realized that I should have the whole thing arched and not just the the pieces on the end be flat and then it just be like a V in the middle like the bottom is. So I'm putting two pieces of floor tile on the ends of it so that I can just, like I said, the whole thing can be arched. So you can see what I'm doing here with that. So I just drag that across and now I'm lowering it a bit. And now I'm going to take that and drag that across the end pieces. So now the whole thing, like I said, the whole top of it is arched and it looks a lot better than, like I said, having the two outside pieces being flat and then it just being a V in the middle. So here you have a nice little arch going into the courtyard and I just think that looks really nice. And here I ran into an issue where I couldn't get that piece to flatten, so when that happens, you just have to get rid of the wall over it, and then it'll let you flatten it, and then you can just put it back. I don't know why it does that, but that's just a glitch that I noticed. But like I said, you just get rid of the wall over where it won't flatten it, and then put the wall back, and it's all fine. The next thing that I decided to do was try making the floor on top of the arch a little bit darker, just because the rock on the arch is a little bit darker and I want the floor to blend in with that a bit better, and also just so it's different than what's on the floor in the courtyard. So right here I'm just changing the colors of that same floor and then putting it back on the arch, since when the floor is curved like that you can't change the color of it directly on it, so you have to do elsewhere and then put it back onto it. And that's another little thing with, using the constrained floor elevation sheet. And then I just put a nice little border around the top of it to make it look a little bit nicer. So here you can get a view of that arch and how it looks. And the next thing that I did was move over to there. So I had to put some fence here because I just want that whole courtyard area to be closed off. So initially I tried this fence here from Showtime and made it that same brick pattern that's on the walls of the house. So I had that there, but then I felt like it was a little bit too plain, so then I went with this one here, which came from Ambitions, and it's a little bit nicer. It has a nice wrought iron fence on top of it, so I made that match the walls, and I think it looks nice, and it blends in well. Here I'm marking off where there's going to be a garden there, so now I'm just changing the terrain paint there to be the dirt, and just putting some plants in, once again keeping it kind of sparse, or like I did in the rest of the gardens. So there you have that finished garden, and this is all that I did in this episode. The next episode will be up on Tuesday, and then, like I said, we'll move on to the rest of the landscaping. I hope you guys enjoy this. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you aren't. Thanks for watching, and bye!